The first sensation was a suffocating heat, a body pressed tightly against his back. The air in the room was chilled, but this man was a furnace. A ragged breath, a pained gasp, and then a low, magnetic voice grazed his ear. The man asked if he was an Omega, pleading for help. Ethan nodded frantically, and in the next moment found his jeans being tugged down. A sharp jab from his fist sent the man reeling, his eyes glowing with a feral intensity. He'd asked if Ethan was an Omega, and Ethan had said yes. He'd thought the man was injured, maybe in need of a rare blood type, O-negative perhaps. What kind of world had he stumbled into? After it was all over, the man's warmth was replaced by an icy detachment. He used money to seal Ethan's lips. Later, he would chase after Ethan, wanting to seal them in a different way. He had been transported. As consciousness seeped back, he found himself held from behind by a man. The hotel room's air conditioning hummed, but the man's body was unnaturally hot. He wondered if the stranger was burning up with a fever. Hot breath pulsed against the shell of his ear. All he could see were two powerful arms locked over his stomach, the muscles taut and defined. Ethan's own temperature began to climb. He tried to pry the man's grip open, straining with all his might, but the arms were like steel bands. He wanted to ask what was wrong, to offer his help as any decent person would. The man's voice was a rough whisper, asking about his scent, how faint it was. Ethan felt the man lower his head, inhaling deeply at the nape of his neck. The firm tip of a nose pressed against his skin, raising a fine tremor of goosebumps across his body. A strange weakness washed through his limbs. He chuckled to himself, figuring his 18 years of singledom had left him unaccustomed to such intimate, ambiguous contact. Besides, he had to admit he might probably be interested in men. He joked about the man being a vampire, able to smell his blood type, confirming that he was, in fact, O-type. Before he could finish, the arms around him constricted violently. The man's breathing became chaotic. He spun Ethan around to face him, his voice a raw plea for help. But seeing the man's face, Ethan froze. He had never seen someone so strikingly handsome. The man's gaze was unfocused, hazed with desire. Droplets of sweat traced a path from his temple to the arch of his brow. It was devastatingly sensual. A flush crept up Ethan's neck, his heart accelerating. To be thrown into a new reality and immediately meet someone like this, was this some kind of cosmic reward? He decided then and there to get the man to a hospital. Fate worked in mysterious ways. Seeing his vigorous nod, the man offered a faint smile, though Ethan detected a flicker of disdain in it. Before he could process the thought, he felt a cool draft on his backside. His pants were pooled around his ankles. He stood there, stunned into silence for a full 3 seconds. It wasn't until the man's fingers hooked into the waistband of his boxers that he snapped back to reality, his face burning. He delivered a swift, unexpected punch to the man's jaw. To hell with it. He thought this could be love, but the man just wanted a one-night stand. The blow, instead of clearing the man's head, only seemed to ignite a wilder fire in his eyes. He growled about a drugged drink, accusing Ethan of luring him into the room and refusing to let him leave. This was all news to Ethan. He had just arrived in this reality, with no preamble or backstory. The horrifying thought occurred that maybe he, or the body he now inhabited, had indeed been the aggressor. In that brief moment of hesitation, he was shoved onto the vast king-sized bed. His wrists were crossed and easily pinned above his head with one of the man's hands. He tried to arch his back to squirm away, but was immediately pressed flat against the mattress. A wave of heat surged from his abdomen to his chest, making every pore on his skin tingle. A soft, involuntary moan escaped his lips. The man's eyes, wolf-like, narrowed with a predatory gleam. He lunged, capturing Ethan's lips first, then moving to his neck, his collarbone, his chest. Unconsciously, the hand pinning his wrists had loosened its grip. This should have been his chance to fight back, to land another punch, but he felt utterly drained, his body pliant and boneless. He cursed the weakness of this new form. In the end, it was almost a mutual surrender, with Ethan even finding himself seeking the man's embrace. Through the haze, he was aware of the man lingering several times at the nape of his neck, once even feeling the sharp press of teeth against his skin. He couldn't fathom the strange fixation. When he woke again, a peculiar soreness radiated through his entire body. The sheets around him were surprisingly fresh. He turned with some difficulty and saw the man leaning against the headboard. His face and eyes now completely devoid of the passionate fervor from hours before, replaced by an unnerving coldness. Noticing he was awake, the man spoke a few clipped words, telling him to open his phone. Ethan assumed he wanted to exchange numbers. Despite the whirlwind of events, he had a soft spot for handsome men. He cheerfully unlocked his phone with a facial scan and held it out. The man glanced at it, his brow furrowed in annoyance before a sneer twisted his lips. He clarified he wanted a payment app, not his contact info. He scoffed, saying Ethan couldn't pretend this wasn't a calculated move, that he had been waiting for this moment. He added that even though Ethan was an Omega, he had restrained himself from marking him. He was offering a sum of money as a gag order. The words Omega and marking left Ethan utterly bewildered. What in God's name was going on? The man's expression was a mix of impatience and disbelief as he asked Ethan his age. Ethan thought for a moment before cautiously replying that he had just turned 18. The man retorted with scathing sarcasm, saying he thought Ethan was 3, unable to even know his own designation. The insult triggered a faint memory from something he'd read online, something about an alpha, beta, omega dynamic where omegas could bear children. A look of pure horror spread across his face. He tried to explain he thought the man was asking about his blood type. Clearly, the man didn't believe a word of it. The notification of a $5,000 deposit pinged on his phone, jolting him from his stupor. This guy was certainly generous. The man stood and dressed. Before leaving, he issued a stark. If Ethan ever dared to use this incident as blackmail or spread rumors, he would spare no expense to investigate who was truly behind the drug drink, and no one would get off easy. Ethan just laughed it off. He wasn't looking for that kind of trouble. It was obvious from the man's demeanor and the quality of his clothes that he was from a world far beyond Ethan's reach. He assured the man he would consider him just a friend, and whatever happened before, whether he was involved or not, was in the past. He was starting fresh. After the man left, Ethan frantically scoured the internet on his phone, trying to piece together the rules of this new world. What he discovered left him speechless. It was a bleak picture. Not only was he an Omega, but he was a flawed one. This body, belonging to a boy also named Ethan, had an incomplete designation. His pheromones were so faint they were practically non-existent. That explained the man's earlier comment. But there was one piece of overwhelmingly good news. His ability to conceive was virtually zero. What had been this body's greatest source of shame was, for him, a cause for celebration. The encounter had been rough. He spent the entire weekend recovering in bed. On Monday, he returned to his university to begin his new life. Despite the bizarre start, he was an optimist. He tried to memorize the faces of his 3 roommates, then enthusiastically offered to help the smallest of them carry a heavy container of water. The boy reacted with sheer terror, as if Ethan were about to scald him. Later, he offered his third roommate some extra bagels he'd bought for breakfast. The offer was refused so vehemently you would have thought the food was poisoned. He noticed they never spoke to him, never included him when they went to class. The three of them were a tight-knit clique that excluded him entirely. He finally got fed up and cornered them in the dorm room, demanding to know if they were bullying him. After a long, awkward silence, they finally found the courage to speak. They told him the old Ethan was always passive-aggressive, that he had once gotten jealous of the third roommate's boyfriend, a popular guy on campus, and tried to secretly add him on social media, only to be publicly called out. Another chimed in that he was notorious for trying to compete with other Omegas, acting like one of the guys around Alphas to get their attention. Hearing this was like being struck by lightning. After their tirade, they didn't believe his claims that he had changed. They left, leaving him alone and dejected. After class, he wandered over to the outdoor basketball courts, feeling an old itch. He saw a group of guys playing and called out, asking if he could join. They gave him skeptical looks, their eyes raking over his slender frame, questioning if he could even play. Annoyed by their condescension, he gestured for the ball. Dribble, crossover, spin move, step back, three-pointer. Swish. He pumped his fist, the frustration from the past few days finally starting to dissipate. As he sank shot after shot, the other guys loosened up, and soon they were playing a heated, exhilarating game. Afterward, drenched in sweat, he had his arms slung around two of them, laughing and joking like old buddies. Then he turned to take a sip of water and nearly choked. The handsome man from the hotel was standing not far away, a stormy expression on his face. He was surrounded by a small crowd, including a shorter, delicate-looking young man who shot Ethan a dirty look. Someone asked the handsome man, Alex, if he knew Ethan. Others started murmuring. That was Ethan, the well-known social climbing Omega from the liberal arts department who loved hanging around Alphas. Someone mockingly quoted Ethan's supposed catchphrase about just wanting to be one of the brothers and having no ulterior motives. The phrase sounded vaguely familiar. He saw the sneer on Alex's face deepen. His eyes narrowed. He told Ethan, his voice low and dangerous, to take his arm off the guy next to him. Ethan instinctively flinched, but then corrected himself. This was the guy who paid him for his silence and drew a clear line between them. What right did he have to dictate who his friends were? The guy whose shoulder Ethan's arm was on reacted even more strongly. He slammed the basketball to the ground, yelling at Alex, the campus star, asking if being chased by countless Omegas wasn't enough for him, and what business it was of his if Ethan played ball with them. Another guy backed him up. Before Alex could respond, the delicate-looking Omega beside him spoke up, his voice dripping with scorn. He scoffed at the idea of Ethan playing basketball, suggesting it was more like flirting. Ethan felt a flash of anger, telling the guy that his words were out of line and inviting him to play a few rounds to see for himself. The other Omega lifted his chin defiantly, refusing on the grounds of their different designations, adding that he wasn't a defective Omega like Ethan, who didn't even need suppressants to mask a non-existent scent. Ethan subconsciously touched his bare neck. Alex bent down, scooping up the basketball in one hand. He looked straight at Ethan, a challenge glinting in his eyes. He asked if Ethan dared to go one-on-one with him. It was a direct challenge no man could refuse. Ethan raised an eyebrow, tossing out a classic bit of trash talk, telling Alex that the loser would have to call the winner daddy. A strange, tense silence fell over the court. Alex cracked his knuckles and stepped onto the court. The game was ferocious from the start. As they battled, bumping and blocking, Ethan became acutely aware of his disadvantages. Alex was a good half-foot taller, and his physique was far more powerful. When Alex shot, the muscles in his shoulder and biceps swelled with a raw, masculine power. When he jumped, the hem of his t-shirt lifted, revealing a glimpse of perfectly sculpted abs, which elicited a chorus of shrieks from the sidelines. The view was so distracting that Ethan nearly stumbled when he landed. Alex's hand shot out to steady his elbow, a flicker of concern crossing his face before vanishing. He chided Ethan for staring at men's bodies instead of watching the ball. Ethan retorted with a playful insult. He used his smaller, more agile frame to his advantage, faking Alex out and sinking a clean shot. He winked, a hint of smug triumph in his eyes. Alex stared at him, momentarily stunned. He was only down by 8 points, he said, telling Ethan to watch how he'd make a comeback. Alex shook his head as if to clear it, a small smile playing on his lips as he announced that his warm-up was over. Ethan scoffed at his arrogance, though he suspected it might be true. He was already breathing heavily, while Alex barely had a sheen of sweat on his forehead. After Alex scored several unanswered points, Ethan started to feel off. His vision blurred, and a wave of exhaustion crashed over him. The last thing he saw before blacking out was the sudden change in Alex's expression, the way he dropped the ball and rushed toward him. He had a fleeting thought that Alex could, after all, look that worried. He was only unconscious for a moment. When he came to, he was in Alex's arms, being carried in a princess hold, racing across the campus. A crowd of students trailed behind them, and onlookers paused to stare and whisper. A wave of embarrassment washed over him, but he felt too weak to even protest. The campus health center wasn't far. After a quick examination, the nurse's expression turned serious. She shooed everyone else out of the room before asking Ethan if he hadn't just bonded with an alpha a week ago. Ethan glanced at Alex, who had insisted on staying, and nodded. The nurse explained that he should know his designation was not fully stable. She was being polite. It was more like he was handicapped. She theorized that the shallow bond had stimulated a secondary development. He asked what that meant. The nurse's eyes darted between him and Alex, a knowing, gossipy light in them. She said the simplest, most effective solution for the next crucial 3 months was for him to maintain stable contact with the alpha he bonded with. This included, but was not limited to, hugging, kissing, intimate contact, and even temporary pheromone exchange. Ethan's face fell. Alex had paid him to keep his mouth shut. How could they maintain frequent contact for 3 months without anyone finding out? He asked if another alpha would work. The moment the words left his mouth, he felt the temperature in the room drop. Alex was staring at the side of his head with a glacial look. The nurse chuckled, telling him his unique situation was triggered by that specific alpha, so finding another would be like asking for a death wish. She reminded him that this was common knowledge and he shouldn't joke about it. Alex's expression thawed. He thanked the nurse, paid for the prescription, and carefully noted her instructions. To an outsider, he looked like the most devoted boyfriend. Back in the small infirmary room, Alex held out a hand to help him up, letting out a soft sigh. He supposed they had to follow the nurse's orders, but he warned Ethan that this was purely for his health. The contact would be limited to hugs at most. Kissing and bonding were out of the question, and a temporary mark from pheromone exchange was an absolute fantasy. It was the longest string of words Ethan had ever heard him speak. Noticing the curious faces pressed against the window, especially the anxious-looking delicate Omega, he asked Alex how they would explain this to everyone. Alex frowned, shoving his hands in his pockets, and said they'd just say Ethan got hurt from playing basketball too hard. Right, as if anyone would believe that. His secondary development made him feel sick almost daily. It seemed that hugs and affection were now a medical necessity. To avoid suspicion, he and Alex developed a system of coded messages and secret rendezvous. Sometimes it was in the library, a fleeting touch of fingers between the shelves while pretending to reach for a book. Other times they would leave for the bathroom one after another, meeting for a quick embrace in an empty hallway. On the days he felt particularly awful, he would sneak out of his dorm at night and meet Alex in a secluded garden on campus known as a makeout spot for couples. There was an unspoken rule there. No one bothered to see who anyone else was with. He had to admit the secrecy was thrilling. The only downside was that Alex, being a supposed S-class alpha, had incredibly sharp senses. The mix of pheromones from other couples in the garden always seemed to overwhelm him. One night, Ethan offered his neck, the pale skin under his hair looking almost luminous in the moonlight. He suggested Alex could take a small bite, just to see if his own pheromone levels had improved. The first time he brought it up, Alex's eyes darkened, and he sternly told him not to play games. The second time, Alex hesitated, conceding to just 3 seconds, insisting he wouldn't get addicted. By the third time, he had Ethan pinned against a tree, his control clearly slipping. Ethan yelped, telling him not to lick, not to bite. But his traitorous body went limp in Alex's arms. They parted that night flushed and flustered, practically scrambling back to their respective dorms, both uncomfortably aroused. His roommate looked at him suspiciously as he closed the door. After a moment of internal debate, the roommate finally asked if Ethan was really dating the campus star. The question nearly made Ethan fall out of his bunk. He laughed it off, asking if they actually believed those stupid rumors. But the three of them gathered around, ticking off evidence on their fingers. 2 days ago, Alex was seen buying bagels from the Northgate Bakery at 7A, a place everyone knew he disliked. 18 minutes later, Ethan had made a strange trip downstairs to take out the trash and returned with a box of the exact same bagels. He had thought they were all asleep. Then, last Friday night, he had returned to the dorm smelling of a specific pheromone suppressant. Today, they smelled the same scent on him again. He was stunned but tried to maintain his composure, arguing that just because he used a suppressant didn't connect him to Alex. His roommate sighed, asking if he didn't know that the brand Alex used was a custom blend made by his family's company, with a unique fragrance. Ethan felt utterly defeated. He burrowed under his covers and furiously texted Alex, telling him to stop bringing him breakfast and to buy a generic drugstore suppressant. Alex replied quickly, repeating his usual excuses about buying the wrong thing by accident or just happening to be passing by. He added that the drugstore brands smelled terrible and he didn't like them. After that, Ethan became even more cautious. He started making excuses to ignore Alex's messages. After a few days of this, Alex was the one who became agitated. He suggested they go see a movie that Saturday, off campus where they wouldn't be recognized. The idea was tempting. Alex added that he was just worried Ethan would have a severe relapse if he suppressed his needs for too long. Ethan inwardly scoffed, wondering who was really getting desperate. Alex chose a theater in a remote suburb. Ethan walked a half-mile off campus before daring to slip into his car. The warm air felt good. He took off his jacket and joked that their relationship felt like a covert spy operation. The car swerved slightly. Alex shot him a look, accusing him of letting his true feelings slip. He insisted they weren't dating. He was just doing a good deed. Ethan wondered if the man had any sense of humor at all. To change the subject, he complimented the car, asking how much it cost. Alex's fingers tightened on the steering wheel, the veins on the back of his hand standing out. He warned Ethan through gritted teeth not to call him bro again. Ethan just laughed. Alex had said it was a sci-fi movie, but the film turned out to be a non-stop parade of couples making out in zero gravity. Ethan was utterly confused, questioning if this was really an intergalactic epic. In the darkness, Alex ignored his question and murmured that he had a piece of popcorn on his lip. Ethan asked where, about to wipe it away himself, when Alex suddenly leaned over and captured his mouth. The crisp scent of cedarwood, Alex's unique pheromone, filled his senses. Ethan parted his lips, allowing him to deepen the kiss. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, he asked if the popcorn was gone. Alex said it was that he'd licked it off. Ethan picked up a fresh kernel, slowly put it in his mouth, and just before his fingers left his lips, he licked the tip. He asked if there was any now. Alex's gaze became as deep and vast as the cosmos on screen. When the movie ended, both of their lips were slightly swollen. Fortunately, the theater was nearly empty. Alex took his hand as they discussed where to go for dinner. Ethan scrolled through reviews on his phone with his free hand, not wanting to let go. On a cold day like this, hot pot sounded perfect. Alex agreed, complimenting his cleverness. That way, he said, they could blame their swollen lips on the spicy food. He leaned in and stole another quick peck from the corner of Ethan's mouth. He was getting addicted to this. Ethan had to admit it felt good. The pheromones were a powerful thing. They were just rounding a large corner in the shopping plaza when they came face to face with a large group of people. There was the delicate Omega, Cody. There were his roommates and one of their boyfriends, and a bunch of their friends. Cody looked like he had seen a ghost, his eyes wide with shock. His roommate's expression was complicated, shifting between Cody and Ethan. Ethan managed an awkward laugh, commenting on the crowd, at a complete loss for words. So much for a remote location. He secretly pinched Alex's hand. Alex, however, remained perfectly calm and greeted the group. Cody finally found his voice, his tone incredulous. He asked Alex if he was insane, if he had really been fooled by such a low-class social climber. His eyes were brimming with tears, but his words were sharp. Alex's smile vanished, his face turning to ice. He told Cody to watch his mouth and apologized to Ethan. Unfazed, Cody glared at Ethan, retorting that he hadn't said anything untrue. He reminded Alex that the whole campus knew what Ethan was like and that they had known each other for over a decade. He couldn't believe Alex was yelling at him for Ethan's sake and threatened to tell Alex's father. As the tension escalated, Ethan quickly dropped Alex's hand and forced a laugh, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. He said they were just about to have an arm wrestling match. Instantly, a dozen pairs of eyes, each with a different meaning, fell on him. The faint smile that had returned to Alex's face was now replaced by a dark scowl. He demanded to know what Ethan meant by that. Cody, after getting a cold glare from Alex, spat out that Alex would regret this and stormed off. His friends scrambled to follow him. Soon it was just the two of them. The mall was warm, but the air between them was frigid. Ethan lowered his gaze, speaking his mind. He reminded Alex that he himself had said he was just helping out. Once the 3 months were over and his pheromones stabilized, it was anyone's guess if Alex would even want to see him again. It was better for everyone if they didn't make things public. After all, the experience of being paid to keep quiet was something he only needed to go through once. He might act like it didn't bother him, but few people could truly be indifferent to that. That night, the hot pot restaurant he had so carefully chosen went unvisited. Unwilling to pay for a cab, he took 2 buses and a subway to get back to campus. Without Alex and his luxury car, he didn't feel a sense of loss. This was the life he was used to. His family sent him about $200 a month for living expenses, and only after he asked for it. In a city where everything cost 3 times as much, it was nowhere near enough. But compared to his family's cold indifference, money was the least of his problems. He was surprised to find how similar he and the original Ethan were. Except, this kid was a fool, spending his money on expensive skincare and designer knockoffs with no concept of saving. Ethan, on the other hand, had always worked part-time jobs and had a small nest egg. Too bad a car accident meant he never got to spend it. He transferred the $5,000 Alex had given him back to his account. He added a message, assuring Alex that he would keep his mouth shut, with or without the money. The next day, rumors of their relationship spread like wildfire, but after a few days of no contact between them, the gossip died down. Final exams began, providing a much-needed distraction. After his last exam, Ethan packed his bags to go home for winter break. His hometown was over 1,000 miles away, unlike Alex, who was local. As he was leaving his dorm, he saw Alex waiting for him. He tried to act casual, offering a breezy greeting, but it only seemed to make Alex's expression darken. Alex asked him what his plan was for the month-long break. Ethan clutched his coat tighter and said he had gotten suppressants from the health center. Alex strongly disapproved, arguing that this developmental phase was critical and a rare chance for him to normalize. He couldn't believe Ethan would be so reckless. Ethan's smile faded. He stated that he felt perfectly normal and didn't care what others thought, nor did he need their pity. He wasn't just some Omega, he was Ethan, a person not ruled by pheromones. Alex was taken aback, apologizing and saying that wasn't what he meant. He offered Ethan a place to stay in the city, an empty apartment he owned, so he could finish the last month of treatment. Ethan walked past him, dragging his cheap suitcase with its fake designer logo. He patted Alex on the shoulder, wishing him a happy new year in advance, and thanked him. A scarf was suddenly draped over his head, halting his steps. Alex's voice, tinged with sadness, came from behind him. He said it was going to snow and told him to be careful not to catch a cold. Ethan lowered his head, burying his nose in the warm fabric. The faint scent of cedarwood soothed the anxiety that had been building all week. His family lived in an old apartment building, a 6th-floor walk-up. He hauled his suitcase up the stairs and was met with only fleeting glances from his family. His mother, carrying a bowl of washed cherries, elbowed him out of the way, telling him not to block the hall. His tall, successful alpha brother, his cute, spoiled Omega sister, and him, the unwanted middle child. It was a familiar setup. In a way, it made things easier. Since he had taken over this body, the lack of familial connection lessened his guilt. He found his way to the smallest bedroom and stayed there like a ghost for several days, the sounds of his family's laughter and arguments a constant presence from which he was excluded. He used the suppressant once and felt horribly sick, like he had a raging fever. The second time the symptoms hit, he buried his face in Alex's scarf, holding his breath until his lungs burned. It was in this miserable state that New Year's Eve arrived. Feeling chilled to the bone, he draped the scarf over his shoulders and went to the dinner table. His mother immediately shot him a look of disgust, asking what was wrong with him, dressing so bizarrely in his own home. His brother sneered, guessing he was showing off the expensive brand, which he claimed cost thousands. His mother shrieked, yelling at him for buying such an expensive item when he was always complaining about being broke. His hand, holding his chopsticks, trembled. He managed to keep his voice steady, explaining that a friend had lent it to him. His brother launched into a lecture, telling him not to be played by some rich kid, that as a flawed Omega, he needed to be more careful or he'd never find a husband. He put down his chopsticks, his appetite gone. His sister then complained that they were out of her favorite dipping sauce, pointedly saying that only one brand would do and that the small store in their complex sold it. She expected him to go buy it. It was New Year's Eve. Everyone was celebrating. The store would be closed. When he pointed this out, his mother joined in, berating him. She said the owner was their neighbor of decades, and he could just knock on the door. She accused him of being lazy and useless. He stood up abruptly and walked out of the apartment. He felt something cool on his face and realized he was crying. He muttered to himself about how weak this body was. He walked slowly toward the convenience store. The streetlights cast a dim glow, but he saw a warm, orange light coming from the store's entrance. It was open. His luck wasn't all bad. As he got closer, he saw someone standing there. A familiar voice asked the old man behind the counter if he knew where the Ethan's family lived. He thought he was hallucinating. It was Alex's back. He called out his name and the figure turned around. It really was him. His mind went blank. Alex stood there, impossibly handsome in a tailored black overcoat that highlighted his broad shoulders and long legs. Ethan subconsciously licked his chapped lips and tugged at the hem of his cotton pajamas, trying to make himself look presentable. Alex told him he had spoken to his family doctor, who said suppressants alone were not enough for his condition, so he had bought a plane ticket that night. He asked if Ethan was okay. Ethan forced a smile, about to say he was fine, but the look of genuine pain in Alex's eyes stopped him. Alex said softly that he was not okay. The moment he heard those words, a dam broke inside him. He launched himself into Alex's arms and sobbed, all the fear and loneliness and heartbreak of the past weeks pouring out. He cried for at least 3 minutes before the tears subsided. Then he realized he had gotten snot all over Alex's expensive coat. So he pretended to keep crying while he tried to figure out how to discreetly wipe it off. Alex gently cupped his face, lifting his head from his chest. His expression was one of fond exasperation. He told Ethan that his fake smile was bad, but his fake crying was even worse. Ethan gave a sheepish grin. He asked if Alex had eaten, if his family was upset he'd left on New Year's Eve, if he had a place to stay. Alex answered each question. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't had time to book a hotel. And yes, his family had objected, but when he told them he was going to chase after the person he was in love with, they relented. Ethan suggested he come up to his place for a bite to eat, taking his hand and adding that he would stay with him at a hotel later. Alex's eyes lit up. He had left the house looking miserable on an errand for dipping sauce and returned with a handsome, wealthy alpha. His entire family was stunned. It was glorious. His mother's harsh tone was replaced by a sweet, simpering voice as she asked Alex if he was the friend who had lent Ethan the scarf. Alex looked at Ethan and said that he hoped to be his boyfriend soon, wondering when he would be promoted. The rest of the meal was a bizarre spectacle. His mother fawning over Alex, trying to gauge his family's wealth. His father trying to ply him with drinks and build connections. His brother with a forced smile, hiding his envy. And his sister, her eyes glued to Alex, shooting daggers at Ethan. Ethan cleared his throat and announced that he would be staying at a hotel with Alex that night. The looks on their faces were priceless. No one was lecturing him about his reputation now. Once they were outside, he told Alex he was done with that family. At the hotel, Alex was chagrined, admitting he hadn't bought any protection. Ethan said it was fine, they were both guys. It's not like he could get pregnant. Alex reminded him that he was an Omega and could. He'd almost forgotten. Alex added that even without protection, the chances of him conceiving were almost zero. Ethan quickly covered his mouth, telling him that if he kept talking about pregnancy, he would lose the mood entirely. He asked if this was still just an act of charity. If Alex dared to say yes, he was ready to call him bro again. Alex answered by kissing him deeply. He whispered that he liked him. Maybe it was because they hadn't had any contact for weeks, but the moment they touched, it was like a spark hitting gasoline. Alex was quickly overwhelmed, his gentlemanly restraint lasting only a few minutes before he became a storm of passion. Ethan begged for a break, saying he couldn't take any more, but Alex, his eyes hazy with desire, whispered that Ethan seemed to be going into heat. There were so many things about this world he still didn't understand. Alex called him baby. Ethan told him to shut up. For 3 whole days, he didn't leave the hotel room. In the beginning, he was so weak that Alex had to help him to the bathroom, his legs trembling uncontrollably. It was humiliating, but Alex seemed to delight in taking care of him. Once his heat had passed, Alex took him directly back to the city. He insisted on having his family doctor give him a thorough checkup. This meant he would be meeting Alex's family. The thought terrified him, but Alex reassured him that his parents were on vacation abroad. He was greeted by the family's old butler, who smiled at him with genuine warmth, remarking how long it had been since he'd seen the young master so happy. Ethan thought to himself that of course Alex was happy. He'd been thoroughly satisfied for the past few days. The family doctor was a gentle-mannered beta who complained good-naturedly about being called in during the holidays and joked about charging triple. The exam results were good, except for his reproductive situation, which was not optimistic. His development in that area was still incomplete. Ethan had to quickly lower his head to hide his look of sheer delight. Alex comforted him, saying he didn't mind and didn't want children anyway. He had 2 older brothers and an 8-year-old nephew, so his parents wouldn't pressure them. Ethan thought to himself that if they dared, he would be gone. Alex's shoulders suddenly twitched, and he looked around, confused, asking if someone had just called him bro. Ethan quickly said it must have been his inner voice, that he'd heard wrong. With half a month left before school started again, he stayed at Alex's house. It was a life of luxury with maids, cooks, and butlers. The only drawback was that his backside was frequently sore. They finally managed to go for a walk, hand in hand, only to run straight into their next-door neighbor, Cody. The candy apple in Cody's hand fell to the ground. His eyes turned red, and he ran away, covering his face in anguish. A tall, well-built young man who had been trailing behind Cody shot Alex a furious glare. Then, juggling an armful of shopping bags, sprinted after him. Ethan watched as a dramatic scene of chasing, tearful confessions, and a badal embrace unfolded down the street. Alex explained that there was truly nothing between him and Cody, and that he had known for a long time that his childhood friend, the jock from the basketball court, had a crush on him. Ethan teased him, asking if he remembered that their first time was together. He then asked if Alex still wanted to pay for his silence. Alex considered for a moment, his expression serious. He said he would use other methods to seal his lips, both sets of them. Ethan's face flushed, and he clapped a hand over Alex's mouth, his own eyes smiling. The snow by the roadside was melting. Spring was coming.